when the masses met the mania. I am talking about Macho Madness and Hulkamania.
He isn't welcome.
By whom? By
He's
you?
not capable to be in the same announcing
He's
booth
one of
as
the
me.
premier play-by-play men in all of professional wrestling.
I don't like him. I don't like him. I don't like him.
You want to be a statistic? Or do you want to be a legend? No one cares about dates. What they care about are the moments that go on to define us. The moments of greatness. And in my estimation, as someone who's still relevant, you need one more.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Last Territory Wrestling Podcast. That's right, the Last Territory. Vince McMahon is not taking us down. We are going to remain here forever. My name is the Sane Luchador, D.A. White Thunder. You can call me Kyle, but my Christian name is D.A. White Thunder. And who do I have next to me here?
Mr. McMeier.
Mr. McMeier.
You're fired.
So, this is our first podcast here, so you'll forgive us if it's, well, not good.
More than
But
likely.
we'll try our absolute best to be entertaining here. We'll have to try to have a little bit of fun. As I said before at the top of the show, this is a wrestling podcast, and what we like to do is we like to go over the current news, talk about things that are going on in the world of professional wrestling. Then we also like to talk about the past, bring up some of our favorite matches, tell you stuff you should be watching on the network if you're one of those fancy people that's got $10 to blow a month, or if you're
$9.99.
$9.99, baby,
Get it right.
or if you watch it on YouTube like most of the world. So, numero uno, out of the gate, Mr. McMeier, what is your number one headline?
Number one headline. Okay. It's been confirmed by
Confirmed, people.
Yes, by Big E that coming soon to the WWE shop is going to be New Day socks. That's right, New Day socks. And yeah, that was my biggest headline when I saw that. I'm like, wow, that's pretty awesome.
We just realized we're wasting everyone's time. All right, we'll pack it up.
New Day socks. Yeah. New Day socks. Come on, you know you want a pair of those.
Oh, who doesn't want a pair?
Yeah, New Day's awesome. Though.
New Day is killing it. Yeah. Absolutely killing it. Probably the most over anything I can think of, outside of Brock Lesnar.
They're over and they're very entertaining. They're actually the most entertaining part of Raw, like weekly. Yeah. I mean, it's they're talented. They're awesome to watch wrestle. Mm-hmm. Their promos are good. They're just being really ridiculous and stupid, but it's awesome. I mean,
yeah, here's kind of my thing too. Is I would say one of the many problems with Raw, one of the many problems, but it always seems to me like for some reason, as of late, WWE has forgot how to have fun.
Oh yeah,
and you got three guys that just go out there and just have a ball, and everybody's into it. Which is so weird to me because, Vince McMahon, I can't remember which one it was over when they were touring Europe. This was like a year or two ago. You remember? Yep. Like they were chanting that they wanted the network or something. Right. And he said, why don't you people just have fun?
Right.
Like, so it's on their mind. Like, why?
One good example of that is probably Dean Ambrose. Like, to me, he just looks bored out there. The fire isn't there.
Yeah.
And with a lot of the talent, you can just see it in their eyes. It's just not there. With New Day, you can tell they're just having a good time. They're just loving what they're doing. The fans love it too. Yep. And it kind of comes across with all the other talent too. They're just not, like I said, they're just kind of phoning it in. Really.
Going through the motions.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's other than the New Day socks, which will be coming to the WWE shop zone soon. One other thing is apparently Vince McMahon isn't too happy about the ratings lately. They had like a record low or very low rating recently. And they said he's kind of freaking out about it backstage. So it'll be kind of interesting to see where they're going to go with this. If the product's going to get better or not. I mean, it sure does, but...
I'm voting for no, because if they knew how to fix it, they'd have fixed it a while ago.
I'm kind of glad the ratings have got to that point where Vince McMahon is like, wow.
Yeah.
I better change something about this.
Doesn't he kind of freak out about them yearly?
He does, and this is actually the time of year he does, but I think it was pretty bad this time for him to freak out as much as he did, so
yeah.
For all you listeners out there or Cena lovers, I guess Cena doesn't equal ratings. That's... I think
he does equal ratings, but very, very mild.
Well, he equals ratings, but like Vince Russo says, not Attitude Era ratings.
Right.
Not Stone Cold ratings, not The Rock ratings.
Yeah.
Enough to be on USA ratings. I mean, let's face it,
Yep.
Third thing, unless you had something
Oh,
else.
no, go ahead.
Third thing is apparently NWA is shopping around and possibly Spike TV is interested in them. So NWA, the president contacted...
Eric, and Spike TV, would this be the same channel that had wrestling on it?
Yes.
But not a year ago?
Yeah.
The one and the same?
Unfortunately, it was TNA, so...
Oh.
Yeah. But that's kind of interesting. I mean, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Is the TV overcrowded with wrestling that isn't getting watched already, or will this be something, NWA, look how long that goes back, we're talking history here, but I don't know what they could bring to the table that like Ring of Honor and TNA isn't already bringing,
Really? You don't know what they can bring to the
Well,
table that TNA isn't bringing? Or...
firing Dixie Carter, that would be the first thing.
Yeah. It's hard to say, it's really, and then when you're NWA, what do you go with? Because there's so many promotions that are in the NWA, aren't there?
Yeah.
And maybe we'll see something like, what was it, when they had TNA NWA?
Yeah, the only cool thing I could see coming out of NWA is maybe if they did different territories televised.
Yeah.
That really isn't done nowadays. TNA is in one localized, area. Raw, they move around, but it's never really like a territory, so to speak.
Right.
It'd be kind of cool to, see the territories come back and just be televised. This one's in the Carolinas, this one's in the Midwest,
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
Only hard problem with that is that, it's hard to keep the same talent and things like that.
Right.
And, I don't know, just interesting, I think. Just cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to see where they're going to go with this. It's we'll see what happens,
Yeah, so I'm going to jump in here, and I will give you the one that I'm looking at, and that is that Paige recently commented not only on her pipe bomb, which if you haven't, it was Raw 2 weeks ago, which she dropped a quote-unquote pipe bomb, because CM Punk did it, now we all get to call it that. Basically, she's saying that she feels like the revolution, the Divas revolution, is stale.
Yeah.
And I got to agree with her.
Yeah, me
She
too.
says, I felt like the whole Divas revolution thing started to get stale. I thought it definitely needed a kick in the ass a little bit. Which, yeah.
So, yeah, to go along with that, did you also see Luna Vachon, basically responding to all of this, too?
No, I did not.
She kind of rips on the current state of the Divas.
Oh, yeah?
Basically saying that, Paige is no AJ Styles in regards to her pipe bomb promos.
Or CM Punk, you mean?
Yeah, well, she actually, in the thing it says Paige, is not AJ Lee.
Or AJ Lee, there you go.
Yeah.
You said Styles.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, AJ Lee in regards to her pipe bomb promo. And she said, I believe about halfway through this promo, basically, like what happened is one of the Bellas like threw up their arm when they mentioned Alundra Blaze, and she got like really pissed off about that in her Twitter rant or whatever.
Oh.
And she said, most of you are overrated, half of you cannot wrestle, some just sound illiterate, as soon as you open your pie hole, also disrespectful. If I were you, I would be watching your back. And yeah, she kind of tore the divas
Luna
apart.
Vachon is still alive?
I'm sorry, it was Alundra Blaze.
Alundra Blaze,
Yeah.
wow. I was like, wow, from the grave, Luna Vachon.
Yeah, Alundra Blaze did it. You can edit that out.
No.
So,
No, we can't.
yeah, so that was interesting when I read that. It has the Divas division has some flashes of brilliance lately, but I see it, like a shooting star that's just gonna flame out, basically.
Well, they don't know what to do with it.
No.
They absolutely 100% do not know what to do with it. I'll kind of go on a little bit of a rant here as far as how they should be promoting it and things like that. But first thing I'm going to jump to is why, number one, what you should have done with the Bellas, being they're not up to snuff with those girls, and they're not.
No.
Nikki is the most talented one, and she can kind of hang a little, but the other girls are better than her.
Oh,
They should
by
have.
far.
They should have sent the Bella team packing. They should have whooped their ass a couple of times. I mean, if you want to keep the title on or whatever. But the idea is that they whoop them, have the Bellas kind of retreat for a little bit and think, oh, well, we really need to, we need to take these girls seriously. We thought we could run roughshod over them. But, turns out we got to take them seriously. Excuse me. And then also, why does Nikki care about who started the Divas Revolution? She is the star of Total Divas.
Yeah.
She has nothing to do with this Divas Revolution.
I
think if they were smart, she'd come out and she'd say, you know what? I was here before your quote-unquote revolution. I will be the brightest star in your revolution, and I will be there after it burns to the ground.
Yeah, and I think that's something Alundra Blaze also had an issue with, too. They're touting this Divas Revolution. She's like, basically, what about me?
Yeah.
And it's kind of true. I mean,
What about me?
Yeah.
What about Raven?
She kind of, she showed up in WCW. I mean, she kind of revolutionized some stuff, too. I mean, she threw the belt away. Yeah. That made a statement a lot more than, having a pipe bomb now. I mean.
Well, and kind of the crazy thing is, too, is I don't know if she was just on table for 3. That's kind of the crazy thing here, where she did it with Ivory and with Molly Holly. And Molly Holly, of course, asked her about the belt. And she was like, I still don't get why it's so the most talked about thing. You know what I mean? And I kind of feel like she did what Vince McMahon figuratively did. She just did what he literally did.
Right.
Which is take that division and throw it in the trash.
Yeah. Well, she knew that's where it was going anyways, so why not?
And like
She
I
got
said,
a lot
I mean,
of
it was,
shit for that, but I mean, I thought it was pretty awesome. Pretty awesome statement for her to show up there, and I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and for them to hold a grudge, and like when she got inducted, they were like, then she made the biggest mistake of her life, and then she throws the belt in. I was like, get over yourself.
Well, once again, that's WWE trying to rewrite history.
Yeah.
WCW history, anyways,
Like, oh, she feels so bad that she did that. But anyways, back to the revolution. So I would have done that.
What's the revolution, anyways? What was revolutionized lately?
They just keep saying it's the Divas Revolution, but there's really nothing.
Are they? I mean, is it them just trying to play off of Ronda Rousey?
Kind of. I think it's because now they get 2 matches during Raw instead of just 1.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they're really playing off of that, and they're. I don't know. Like I said, they've had some good matches, some better than average matches, but it's still nothing. It's nowhere where it needs to be. And another thing too is the talent pool. Is like 6 people at the most. And then they're doing it between NXT and Raw. I mean, that's gonna get really old really fast. How many 6-man women's matches or can you have?
That's the thing that's driving me crazy. What is the deal with this 3-team system? And I was so glad when Paige broke away,
right?
Because that made sense to me right away for her to be like, what, screw this, I'm Paige, and she should be the one that should be out there saying, I was the one who started the revolution. It was me, all me, and then you suckheads or whatever came and are doing nothing but riding my coattails. I am the one true shining, the alpha and omega, the one and only true shining star in this industry. She should be the one cutting that promo, and she kind of did.
Typically, you have stables when you don't know what else to do with your talent.
Yep.
And they already have this stable with a group of 6 people. It's like they had the Horsewomen, PCB.
Yeah.
You know, they had all these like stables with like a very small group of people. You know, in the Attitude Era, they had all these stables where they really didn't know what to do with anybody, and they just threw them into a stable, which actually kind of worked. You know, you had Nation of Domination. They were all full of jobbers, you know.
Yeah. If it was, once again, like I said, if this was me, if I was the one in charge of the revolution, I would not have done what they did last week with Paige kind of coming in, kind of being on their team, but not really. Right. I would put Paige against Becky Lynch. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because that's who really got the biggest insult, I think. Yeah. It was Becky Lynch, because she was like, "You're nothing, you're nobody.
You're the least relevant person, like diva that we have." Yeah.
So why wouldn't you have that person try and prove that they're not the most relevant?
Yeah.
Bam, you got something for Paige to do. You got something for Becky to do. Then have Nikki Bella. Yeah. Go over there, start talking smack about the title.
Stop with the 6-man tags,
Right.
It's like, let's, individually they all need to have their own personalities. Mm-hmm. Right now they don't,
Right.
They have a little bit of character.
Mm-hmm.
It's good, but if you're in a stable right away, I didn't think that was very good. I mean, like I said, stables are something you do.
And here's the crazy part. Who's the hottest diva? Sasha.
Yeah.
Sasha is the hottest diva right now. She's got the most buzz about her after the match with, what's her name?
Yeah. That was an amazing
with
match
Bailey.
Too. Bailey.
Yeah, I mean, they absolutely tear the house down, and then you have all this crap on Raw.
I couldn't believe the time they got for that match is what blew me away.
The
time limit was like,
They got like 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah, to have a decent match, you got to at least give them a while. And I was like, I was pretty surprised by that match, because you were the one that actually showed, you were like, you got to check it out, and I'm like, do I? Do I really?
Do I?
25-minute piss break. I'm not really interested, But I hate to say that, but it's. I don't think it's really evolved that much where anybody should be calling it a revolutionary. And not to mention,
mm-hmm.
TNA has been doing this for years,
and
in my opinion, a lot better.
Yeah,
the Knockouts division has been around for a long time, and let's face it, they have better talent. They had better storylines. They did it. To me, they did it better. I mean, they had better wrestlers. They've been doing it for a while, not really getting the credit for it. WWE has, a handful of divas that now are pretty talented, and all of a sudden it's a revolution.
Before they lost, what's her name? Who's the Gail Kim.
Gail Kim.
Right before she is back with
yeah.
TNA, but right before she jumped ship to go back to WWE. That division was amazing. Yeah. They had ODB, they had Awesome Kong, they had Angelina Love.
Yeah.
Angel Williams, if you're on the indie. I'm just showing my cred.
The beautiful people.
The beautiful people. Yeah, they had a stacked division.
Speaking of Gail Kim, let's go back to her WWE run. That was pretty. They had some pretty good. It was a pretty good division even then.
Her second run.
If anything revolutionized anything, I'd have to say it was those first group of divas who, like Trish, Lita.
Yeah.
Maybe props to them for revolutionizing it. China.
Trish and Lita are still the only divas to have the main event of Raw.
Yeah.
And rightfully so.
I have a feeling that's probably going to happen again.
Yeah.
They're going to capitalize on this whole Divas revolution thing, and I see that happening in probably the near future. But I don't know if they'll, it's not a first, so you can't really say it's a revolution.
Yeah.
It's like, it's something that was done before.
And what would have made a million times more sense is if you had those 4 girls come up together, the 4 horsewomen, and just run roughshod over the entire division.
Right. Have
them beat up every single girl, and then say that they are the revolution. They are the 4 horsewomen. They've come to take over this division. That would have made sense.
Well, that would have made more sense having a woman's stable that totally took over. That is revolutionary.
Right. Yeah. That would have made sense. Yeah. The 4 horsewomen.
But this whole it's revolutionary because of what exactly? I just I'm not. What am I supposed to see that's revolutionary that hasn't been done by A, TNA for a longer period of time, and B, WWE for like 10 years ago they did it, you know. So.
And C, Bella's screwing it all up.
Yeah, Bellas need to go away.
Like I said, I think Nikki is fine if they want to have her whatever for the
Nikki
championship.
and Cena need to get married, have some kids, and just go away for a while. I mean, just leave.
Yeah.
We don't need Cena anymore, you know.
No, that's a discussion for another day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're on the Divas, right?
So.
Well, John Cena, I think.
Well, he's on Total Divas every other
he-
freaking week.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You can take that what it is. That kind of brings me up to another news one that was kind of weird to me. Apparently, at a recent event or whatever, Nikki was asked about Dolph Ziggler, and her response was very television sell to me. So,
Well,
obviously...
did you see the most recent one where Ziggler came up to her and was like, I still have feelings for you?
Yeah.
Because apparently he was an ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, because I just wonder... Obviously, it's all reality TV, but you gotta wonder if this is maybe like they're making up angles now.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
For Total Divas.
They've crossed the line now of, before
Of
it
all
looked pretty
legitimate
legitimate.
stuff,
Yeah,
yeah.
now it's like starting to get into the, they're jumping the shark, so to speak, It's like,
Yeah, so they gotta have something interesting and having Dolph come back.
yeah, I thought that was weird. And why would he say he's got feelings for her right in front of her sister, too? Like in
Right.
the backstage, it's like, yeah, can I talk to you? I still have feelings for you. It's like, what? I don't know.
Like, oh my God, Nikki. Like,
Yeah. But if it's true, it would explain Ziggler's mid-card status that he's been stuck in for the last, 6 years, I mean...
yeah.
I could kind of see that,
Yeah.
I could see Cena, keeping him down for that, but it would explain a lot if it's true,
Okay, well, I think this is a good opportunity to explore the Mr. McMeier theory of old people hurting in WWE. It needs a better title, and I'm sorry, I'll work on one. But Mr. McMeier, please break down for our audience how you feel these injuries have been coming to these stars of yesteryear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say that. I don't want to start a conspiracy theory here, but you have guys like Cena. He's been in there for a good decade now.
Yep.
Sting. Taker with Lesnar.
Yep.
I kind of have the feeling that, yeah, I get that they're old, but I kind of have a feeling that some of these younger guys are maybe going into business for themselves, maybe not taking it easy on them. I don't think they're intentionally trying to hurt them. Like, I don't think Rollins intentionally tried to hurt Sting. I'm not saying that, but I think it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm not really going to take it easy on you. You're 58 years old. I should be in this main event probably with somebody else. It should have been Rusev or somebody else, I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird that all these old guys are getting hurt. I mean, they did it, Flair and Hogan did it, when they were how old too, and they didn't really get hurt that often, So
Yeah.
I just kind of get the feeling that maybe Rollins and some of these younger guys are just
Not going easy.
They're not going easy on the older talent. Kind of like, okay, now you can go away. I mean, Cena's been injured how many times with Rollins? Like twice for sure.
Cena, in his defense, though, puts on a much better match now than he used to a couple years ago.
Well,
he takes a lot more risks.
It depends who he's with, honestly.
Yeah.
Like with the recent Owens stuff, I thought was really good. But
Yeah, it was.
It's pretty clear that Owens carried all that stuff. And I kind of have a feeling that Rollins, Owens, these guys are just like, it's our time now.
Yeah.
Creative probably doesn't see it, but if these guys can't wrestle anymore,
Yeah.
you got to push up the younger talent. So
Yeah, you really do.
I don't want to get the tinfoil.
Break out the tinfoil hat.
Tinfoil hats. I don't want to get that all started, but just an observation I made.
Just an observation. Just a little gas on your fire, if you will.
If you will.
Ladies and gentlemen. Just a little update for all of our listeners. Wow, watchers! I'm an idiot. We are watching Dusty Rhodes versus Ric Flair.
Starrcade 85.
Yeah. And it is absolutely wonderful, baby.
It is. This is great.
Well, that will be one of our many recommendations that you should be watching, baby.
Who bad now?
Who bad now? Who bad now? Who bad now? With that, let's segue into a little bit of trivia and also Eric's classic match of the week for this week.
Okay. Well, my classic match of the week, speaking of Starrcade 85, we actually just watched it a little bit ago, is Tully Blanchard versus Magnum TA, if you will. Starrcade 85, the cage I Quit match. Now, Kyle, this was actually a first for you, right?
Yes, this is the first time I've actually seen that match.
So, the first time, I was a little late in the game getting to that match, too, but it was like... when I was younger, I used to read the magazines, so I read about the match. Mm-hmm. I saw it basically in the magazines. I never watched it, though, until about the mid-90s. And then I saw it. My sister bought me this, WCW Greatest Grudge Matches or something, this cheesy VHS tape or whatever, and I watched it on there, and I was totally blown away, so I figured I'd pick it for the Vault match of the week, because basically it's everything that's missing in wrestling now.
Yeah.
It was a great feud that was with Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard that basically culminated in this cage match. And there's a lot of emotion in the match. There's a lot of brutality in the match. I mean, I think you were commenting on that. You were like, wow, his arm's really bleeding there,
Yeah. I mean, he opens that arm wide open.
Yeah, and just a little trivia for you here. Magnum TA, I mean, I think everybody, for the most part, knows that his name was basically a kind of a play on Magnum PI, because he had the stash and everything.
Yes.
Interestingly enough, though, it was actually Andre the Giant who basically kind of came up with it and told Terry Allen was actually his name, Magnum TA. He's like, I can't imagine Andre like, you should be Magnum PI, It's like, you look like Magnum PI, and yeah, so that's a little trivia on that. So that was my Vault match, though, because it was awesome. A lot of blood, a lot of brutality, a lot of emotion, a lot of storytelling. Everything that's missing nowadays,
Yeah, it is, and it's a good match to watch. It's stiff. It's definitely two guys punching each other pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch it close enough, I mean, when you watch these matches over and over, you can clearly see where they're bleeding.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're still bleeding, It's like, wow. And when he's, sticking the chair, that's the broken chair piece in his head. And one of the great things that really added to that match was, they had the microphone in the ring.
Yep.
And, they're, sticking it in each other's faces, punching each other with it. And they're like, do you quit? No! They're yelling. Yeah, it's just, that was awesome,
They sounded too, that was the thing, was that they felt and sounded like they were in the fight of their life.
Yeah.
It really.
Yeah, that's to me, that's a classic match. And it's just kind of, it was brutal,
Yeah.
And it still holds up well. So if you haven't seen it, I would definitely check that out.
Put down your $9.99 for WWE Network, or just jump on YouTube like everybody else.
Yeah. I think it's on Daily Motion or something like that.
Probably most of that stuff is. Well, thank you, Mr. McMeier. My match of the week, and what me and Mr. McMeier are going to do is we are going to switch this out. Every other week, I will have a match from the Vault, and he'll pick the match of the week from this last week. And just so everybody knows, this is just our opinion. We watch most of the basic stuff we get here in America. So if if you're big into Japan, and I'm going to try and watch some more Japan stuff.
Yeah, you need to check out New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Takemura Ninja Oko had the best match ever of all time, and you wouldn't even talk about it. Well, I'm sorry. I'll try and keep and watch.
Yeah, and for the record, too, we're fans.
Yeah.
We're not part of the business. We've never been part of creative.
No.
We're fans.
Yep.
We always have been, always will be. So this is, from our perspective, basically.
Yep. So, I mean, take it for what it is. Don't get your panties in a wad.
Right.
My match of the week is, before divulged, would be John Cena versus Xavier Woods, the leadoff match of Raw.
That's interesting.
And I picked that because Xavier Woods has been, like we said before, the New Day's been shining, and I felt like, yes, exactly. I kind of felt like he had, even though he's really shined as the manager, they really kind of pushed him back as the wrestler.
Right.
And he went out there and he got the.
He can go.
He can go. He's a good wrestler.
Yeah.
I watched him when he was Consequences Creed back in TNA.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of him, and that. Excuse me, but I was a big fan of him back then, and I like him now. And he gets the standard U.S. title treatment, which is you get to deliver your finishing your signature maneuver against Cena, which, you know, hey, you get to do whatever that is to him, and then you get to kick out a one attitude adjustment, I think is what it is. I think that's what it is. And, like, I don't know, you get it, like, on your birthday, or if you do something really good for McMahon or something like that.
Yeah, like take his clothes to the dry cleaner
Yeah,
or something like that.
I really like you. You get the U.S. title spot on Raw.
I like you, pal.
So that's mine.
Well, that's
Yeah, so
interesting.
that's my choice for those reasons.
It was a solid match. Yeah.
Yeah, not the most amazing match ever, but I like the fact that they're giving him the spotlight, letting him shine, and
Xavier Woods in that trombone is pretty hilarious, though. I mean, he is totally, when he was like, doo, 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 he's totally comes out. Cena comes out, and he's like, brr, 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 brr. Like, that was just, that was awesome.
Just genius.
Yeah.
Do you remember much of him in TNA?
Oh, Consequences Creed?
Yeah, because did he tag with R-Truth in TNA?
He might have briefly.
Might have.
Yeah.
What I remember for him mostly, and this is just because it's kind of gross, but I remember he took some move where he went down to a knee. So, and I can't remember who the other wrestler was. I know this is a great story filled with facts, but another wrestler used to give everybody. It might have been Amazing Red. Essentially, it was a Hurricane Rana, but it was cool because they'd be on one knee, and so the Hurricane Rana would stop at the mat with the head going into it.
Yeah,
so
I remember that.
It was like a DDT,
Right.
And so Consequences Creed takes that. His head pops right up, vomit comes out of his mouth, like not like huge, not like blah, but like
just
like,
enough to see it.
Yeah, just enough to see it. Like he obviously had to swallow some of it back. But yeah, that's the biggest thing I remember from him from TNA. I also remember he was a really good wrestler and he did a lot of great stuff. But yeah, that's kind of the, you always remember stuff like that. Like his head pops up, and it looked like he took it really hard too, which I'm sure that's what happened was it rattled him. And
yeah, it was funny because like I forgot about that guy until I saw him as like Xavier Woods. I'm like, Consequences Creed, that's cool. Didn't really think he'd amount to much, and which is why New Day, the whole stable is pretty awesome because Big E wasn't going anywhere. Kofi, yeah. Wow. Too many adult beverages here.
All 1.5 of them.
Yeah. Kofi's been around forever, stuck in mid-card hell. So, it was cool to see them kind of throw these guys together. And Vince's original vision, though, if everybody has heard about that, was basically, weren't they supposed to be like 3 preachers?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, they were supposed to come out and preach, and like Vince thought it was going to be great, and they were like, no. Like, this is what we need to do with it, and I think they ran with it, and they totally got over with it. So.
Yeah. Well, once again, the preacher's idea, hearing that, the big thing that comes to me is that Stone Cold podcast where he goes, "Are you out of touch?" I don't think so. That is such a freaking 80s idea. I can't stand it.
Well, did it work for Devon Dudley when he did it? Remember when he did that, and like Batista was like, he was the guy collecting. Deacon. Was he Batista? Deacon? Yeah. I mean, it was, it didn't work then either. It's not going to work now. I don't know if that gimmick ever would work. Maybe in the 80s it would have worked, but yeah. I think WWE's absolutely out of touch. Yeah.
Vince McMahon is absolutely out of touch.
Yeah.
And I will say that straight to his face.
CM Punk actually basically said they live in their own bubble.
Yeah.
You know, and that comes across in their product too. You know.
Well, here's another little fun story for you. If people may not remember him, but Paul Burchill, a decent wrestler.
The pirate Paul Burchill.
The pirate Paul Burchill, exactly. He was a SmackDown guy back when they had the two brands totally separated, and he had a pirate gimmick, which actually I thought was great. I thought he did a great job with it.
I thought it was entertaining.
It was really entertaining. But the problem was that the Pirates of the Caribbean movies came out.
Yeah.
And everybody saw it, and everybody immediately associated it, and everybody thought it was a rib at the movies, and they thought it was hilarious.
It came off as a cheap Jack Sparrow knockoff, basically, is what it came off.
I thought
to most of the people.
Right, and that was kind of the fun of it, was
right.
like, you know, he's making fun of this
He'd come swinging in his entrance, you know,
and then
on
apparently, he swung in on a pirate rope for his entrance. It was amazing. But apparently Vince McMahon had no idea about any of this. And then someone pointed out, like about a year into it, that, they're just doing Pirates of the Caribbean, right? And he saw it, and he was so embarrassed that they cut the act altogether, and that was the end of that character.
Yeah.
He kind of came back on Raw for a little bit with, she was Winter in TNA. I can't remember. She was Katie Burchill. Was his valet for a little bit. And he never really went anywhere after that. But yeah, so, I mean, Vince McMahon says he's not out of touch. Vince McMahon was Pirates of the Caribbean.
A perfect example of how out of touch he is the most recent, when they did Paige, and what was their gimmick, and most recently the sorority. What was that? Sorority submission.
Yeah, the submission sorority.
Yeah, and like people were like, that's like an adult website.
They said that was Paige's idea, though.
Right,
like,
but
apparently she hadn't.
I think she kind of did it on purpose, to be honest with you, because
that wouldn't shock me.
No, because she was pretty much interviewed about that recently, and she said she didn't want to do it, and she's like, yeah, we don't want young kids Googling that because there's other things that are going to come up, you know. And apparently Vince McMahon had no knowledge of this. It's like, wow, that just kind of shows you,
One more, and then we'll hop off the Vince train for a second. Gail Kim, we were just talking about her. There's a very good interview that she was on the Ross Report, and Jim Ross basically said he had to break down her appeal to him. He was like, oh, well, she's Asian.
Yep.
And he's like, you don't get, like...
I remember hearing about that.
That's kind of a thing for a lot of guys, is, an Asian chick,
He was like, really?
Yeah, really?
That's a thing?
They're mixing the races now?
I like you, pal. You tell me some good stuff.
Yeah, but apparently, she only got hired because Ross was huge on her, and apparently some other people really liked her, and says, well, of course, she's beautiful, she can work.
Yeah, she can work. She's...
Why wouldn't you be high on her?
Right.
So yeah, buddy, pal, I like you.
I like you. You give me good information, Kyle. The Sane Luchador.
The insane Luchador. And Eric, what's that?
Oh,
what's that, Eric?
Here we go.
Uh-oh.
I hear it. I hear it. Everybody else hears it too, Kyle.
Yep. That's right. It's time for your Disco Inferno Fact of the Week.
Oh, yeah. What you got for us, Kyle?
Well, today's fact...
Apparently this is going to be a weekly thing, unfortunately. So.
It probably won't, because I'm going to be honest with you, I'm probably going to run out of disco facts.
You could, yeah.
Disco Inferno was the son of Tony Blanchard.
That didn't happen, Kyle. That's absolutely not true.
Damn it. Okay, give me another second. Let me come up with another disco fact. Reportedly, and this one is true, Disco Inferno came up with the idea for the X Division match, for the Ultimate X match.
I've actually heard that too.
I've heard that. Yeah, that was his idea.
Yeah.
So there you go, your Disco Inferno fact of the week.
Yeah, that's I've heard that, and before everybody shits all over Disco Inferno, which most likely they will, Glenn Gilberti, baby. Is a total asshole. Something I recently showed you was like a Vince Russo interview, basically totally putting Disco over, Glenn over as a talent. He's like, basically, I wish a lot of people could be more like him. He just went out and he had fun with it. He made a total ass out of himself, and he was fine with that. He was just happy being there, is what Vince said. Russo, by the way.
And then I think you kind of said why.
Probably he didn't make it.
Well, a lot of people hated him because
For
he
that.
didn't take it seriously.
Right.
And I can totally see that point of view because I watched a couple of disco matches on the WWE Network. And
For $9.99.
for $9.99, baby. And he went up against some, I can't remember what the guy's name was. It was basically a Mr. T Marine ripoff.
Yeah.
Teddy Long was this guy's manager, and we could have called him Mr. T for all I care. His finishing
it's
move.
a good day for the core, that guy.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
His finishing move was the Red Alert.
Pitbull.
Yes.
That guy?
Pitbull.
Pitbull. Something. Yeah.
Pitbull something.
Yep.
But anyways, this guy was a nothing.
Craig Pittman. Might have been?
I don't know. We'll get it. We'll get it here as I go on with the story. But anyway, so here the match goes on, whatever, and this guy takes Disco to town because that's what Disco does. Is he jobs,
Yep.
job for life, and just as he's about to put on this Red Alert, which is his big arm breaking move, which that's how you get over, is your special move. Disco quits. He quits before the move is even applied, and he goes, no. He says, if you do that to me, I can't do this.
Yep.
And it's one of his, and I know it's
He
podcast you can't
sacrificed.
see, but it's essentially the wave movie when you put both your arms together and you kind of make a wave motion. So he quit before he even put on his finishing move so that he could keep a dance move.
He sacrificed the match. For a
Number
dance
one,
move.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Genius.
Yep.
The fact that he needs to save his dance moves.
Right.
Number two, I would be absolutely furious if I'm going to do this move. I'm trying to get over with this crowd.
Yeah.
And this moron
Pulls this out.
Pulls this crap because he
And
doesn't.
probably got more over than.
And gets more over than you.
Yeah.
So I can understand where a lot of that heat and animosity for him comes from.
Yeah.
For stuff like that.
Yeah. But it was interesting to hear. I've never, in a lot of interviews, I've never heard anybody put him over like that. It's like I've never heard anything but bad things. Backstage, in the ring, everything. It's like Russo kind of changed my mind on that. And he's like, I wish more people would have been like him and just shown up and had a good time with it.
Yeah.
Not been so wrapped up in all their,
Politics.
right,
and-
politics. And Glenn didn't have that ever,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, well, and he was a big one, too, who he accepted what he was.
Right.
Kind of like a Santino Morello.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to be world heavyweight champion, but that doesn't mean I can't be the best thing on the mid-card.
Right, yeah. And he was,
Santino, oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And I would argue that Disco was a big...
Back in WCW, he kind of stole the show when
he
I think he
did.
wasn't supposed to sometimes, He's
Well,
like...
here was the whole thing with Disco Inferno if you've never seen him. His music hits. The crowd goes wild. Everybody does the disco. Everybody loves him.
Kind of like Fandango.
Yes, the match starts,
Yeah.
and whoever his opponent is cannot punch him in the face
Right.
hard enough. You know what I mean? Like,
And everybody goes to get popcorn.
yeah, everybody goes to
It's
get
one of those
popcorn,
where, like,
and as he's
it's
getting
so,
beat up,
everybody's cheering, and like a match
Everyone's
starts,
cheering.
it's quiet. It's like tumbleweeds fly by.
and then he's getting punched in the face, and everyone's like, "Yeah, get him, get that guy." Beat the hell out of the Disco. He's lame. But you were just doing I don't care what I was doing. Beat him up.
And then all of a sudden he'd get up and do something really dumb, and he'd actually get over on
Yeah,
with the
yep,
crowd.
yep.
He'd start doing the disco thing, and it's like, I props to him for having
Yeah.
such a shitty gimmick and like actually kind of doing something with it. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's your discussion. The only podcast that's willing to talk about the Disco Inferno.
Yes. Yeah. You probably won't hear that too many times.
So let's kind of shoot in there to our main meat of this week, which is going to be, being it's our first episode. We kind of wanted to jump in and, oh my God, Kyle, you terrible luchador! You almost forgot the most important segment of the show.
Oh, we did.
We did.
Yep. And
Mr.
this
McMeier.
is a weekly a segment that we're going to do. This is actually called the Big Show Wheel of Heel.
The Big Show Wheel of Heel.
Right behind us, we have a big wheel, and it actually says heel or face. And basically, we let the wheel decide, and we take bets on it whether Big Show will be a face or a heel this week. Since he likes to flip flop back and forth.
So, and this is for his upcoming match against Brock Lesnar at
Madison Square Garden. MSG, baby.
MSG.
So
I'm going face. I'm predicting face this week.
I'm gonna go back here a little bit, and I'm gonna start spinning the wheel here. So. What do we got, Kyle? Face, heel. What do we got?
Heel, damn it.
Heel again.
Damn it.
Yep. Looks like he's going to be heel this week. So, makes sense, Going into the match. Does anybody care about Brock Lesnar versus Big Show, by the way, at MSG?
No.
Shouldn't it be like Kevin Owens, Lesnar, MSG, something that's maybe relevant?
I will say, though, that Paul Heyman did a great job on Raw of putting that match over.
Yeah.
He comes out, which is what he does. He comes out and he talks about, he makes the Giant relevant, or Big Show, excuse me. He makes the Big Show relevant by saying he's become complacent, and that's why he hasn't been killing everybody, because he's bored, and that Brock Lesnar wakes him back up and stuff like that.
Which would describe why they buried Cesaro once again, against Big Show. They had to build Big Show up, against the... One thing that put him over along with Heyman, though, was probably the package they played. Because if you remember when, Lesnar was such a big deal, when Heyman turned on him.
He was the next big thing.
Yeah, and then he went with the big thing or whatever it was. It was like,
thing,
and then
for like 2 days.
Yeah, but it was like, I'm glad they kind of recapped that because Lesnar and Show do have actually quite a history. They've had breaking the ring, with the suplex. They've had some pretty decent, King Kong versus Godzilla matches, basically. So I'm kind of glad not only that Heyman put it over, but I'm kind of glad they, had that package for maybe younger fans who maybe don't know the history between them. So I thought that was a pretty smart move on their part. So.
Yep, and I will say, so that was the Big Show Wheel of Heel, everybody.
Yep.
Before we finally bust out into our final segment, anything else from this week you want to talk about? Anything Raw? I think we covered everything of note.
I don't know. I watched TNA. You're probably going to disagree with me. I'm still a big EC3 fan.
I've come around.
I think he is honestly carrying that company. He's a great heel. He's a great talent. He's probably the most entertaining thing. I don't know if you've ever seen his Fireside conversations on YouTube.
I have not.
Oh, check it out if you guys haven't. It's kind of weird putting TNA over like this, but I mean,
you're putting EC3 over, not
putting TNA over. But I mean, he's pretty interesting. He definitely deserves the belt right now, and he kind of deserves to be the main draw of that company right now. Yeah, he deserves it in my opinion.
Humble opinion.
Yeah. Watched Ring of Honor. Yeah. That's always good as far as pure wrestling. If you like wrestling, that's always a good product out there. Trying to catch up on Lucha Underground.
Lucha.
It's a great. The first time I watched Lucha, it really reminded me of the first time I saw ECW.
Yeah,
it was like, wow, this there's something else out there other than WWE.
Yeah,
that's really all I can say about that. It's like, you have a great. I love their vignettes. They do, their stuff in between. The talent's awesome. Season 2, I think, just got renewed.
Yep.
From what I heard, it's the budget on it has been cut.
Yeah, and they've cut the number of episodes as well.
Yeah, so that. It's good and bad. It's kind of discouraging to hear that, but we'll see what season 2 brings.
Yeah, but we're glad it's back, so
definitely.
Hopefully, it needs to get on Netflix.
Yeah,
it needs to get on Netflix. It needs to get a big following from Netflix, and then it needs to.
There really hasn't been a lot more going on other than Sting's injured. I haven't really heard a whole lot about what the injury was. I know it wasn't like career ending from what I've heard, but I mean it might slow him down a little bit. But
yeah.
Not a whole lot else going on out there,
No, not really. But, alrighty, with that, we're going to jump into Being this is our first podcast, I would say gonna give a little bit information about me and Mr. McMeier, kind of our history with professional wrestling, when we got into it, when we fell out of love with it, when we fell back into love with it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like wrestling is kind of like a relationship.
It is,
You know what I mean?
in a
Because
weird way.
there's that
Unless you're a
time-
fan, you really don't get it.
Right, because there's that time when you walk away and you're like, I could never watch another one again. I'd be happy, and then you see it and you're like, oh, I remember you.
I think the real big difference between a fan is the people that watched it after the Attitude Era. Because who didn't watch it during the Attitude Era?
Yep.
If you continued to watch it, any kind of wrestling, you're a fan. You know, that's just kind of my opinion on that. You know.
Well, I will start out first. And one thing you will learn about me and Mr. McMeier is we are not part of the universe. Like I said, we are the last territory.
Yeah.
And because of that, we are a Southern wrestling, baby.
If you will.
If you will, even though we are both from the North, we are more Southern wrestling with Georgia. And actually, the first thing I remember about wrestling was I was channel surfing, and I came across a replay. It was the Nitro right after, I think it was the Nitro right after Hollywood Hulk Hogan and Sting, Starrcade 97.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was. I don't remember anything. Like, I might have known who Hulk Hogan was.
Yeah, that was
like,
a big
just
deal
kinda,
at the time. You know.
You know, I might, from his movies, I might have known who Mr. Nanny was, and I watched Suburban Commando and stuff like that.
I kind of know who the guy is. Too.
Yeah.
The Mania.
Brother Mania. But I can't even tell you what hooked me. But WCW Nitro hooked me.
More than WWE at the time.
Oh,
you think?
way more. Way more. Well, also, too, you got to figure, because, God, what, I'm 30 now, pathetically. So, 97, what's the math there?
I don't even want to venture to guess. We'll have one of our listeners send it in to us.
Well, one sec. I got a computer. I got a calculator. What? That not calendar. I need a calculator.
Oh, no. You're fired. I just fired Kyle. Live on the air.
You're
on our
fired.
podcast. Mr. McMeier does not do well with this, Kyle.
I'm so sorry, Mr. McMeier. So actually, that's more like 98 would be that, because that was December
I think it was
pay-per-view.
90.
So that'd be 17 years ago. So you got to figure this is about a 12, 13-year-old Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
So what appeals to him at that age is definitely kind of more that was definitely more accessible, and I would say that I was not as opened up. My world was not as opened up.
Mm-hmm.
WWE definitely showed me a world I was not aware of.
You weren't ready for
I
it.
I say wasn't ready for, but I mean, like,
Blew your mind.
this is dial-up internet days.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, like, I was aware of things, but I wasn't totally immersed in them, and it, you know, didn't. What was the Lewis Black famous thing? You know, all the little kids take their pants off and put their wieners up against the MTV and watch that. But yeah, so I mean, WCW really excited me, and you couldn't have when I was a Sting guy right away.
Yeah,
Sting was so cool. Just the whole, you know, everybody else, even just that whole aspect. Like, even his friends didn't believe in him. You know, and even he didn't really have friends, but he was just this. You know, the guy who in the dark who walks, you know, from the darkness that walks in the light.
that was done so well. You know, when everybody turned his back on him, and he wasn't within. You know, they did the fake NWO thing, the fake Sting thing. That was good stuff. Yeah,
that was just genius. And once again, WWE will never give them credit for that.
No,
how amazing
we're
that
both
was.
WCW guys. We're gonna go on record as saying WCW was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, regardless of how people want to, you know,
fantasize the Attitude Era.
Yeah, but not only that, they want to rewrite
but
history, you know, and say, like, you know, it was shitty gimmick after shitty gimmick, and it wasn't. You know, you know, it's not any worse than what they're doing right now. You know, so. Yeah, it was good stuff.
So, I mean, that was absolutely amazing. I could never stand Hulk Hogan. I hated him, which I did not know I was designed to hate him that much. Because, you know, Hogan's a coward. Hulk Hogan, you know, he never fights fair.
He was a great heel.
And WCW, everybody started a match out with the hair pull. That
Yeah.
was always,
Even,
"Hey, it's pulling
even
my
Hogan
hair."
that didn't have much
Yeah,
hair.
even
you know,
Hogan, old Crumdo himself. So I thought that was cool. Rodman coming in, I was also it was the 90s, so once again, basketball was huge. I was a big basketball fan, so I thought it was cool when Rodman came in. I thought it was cool when Karl Malone came in.
Yeah, another one.
I did not think the Jay Leno thing was cool. I thought it was cool that DDP showed up on the Tonight Show, and then I thought it was kind of cool how Eric Bischoff kind of did the Tonight Show on Monday Night Raw. You know how I'd steal all his jokes and stuff. And,
Yeah, the Tonight Show. Yeah.
Well, and then of course you had it was either Shivani or Mike Tenay that would say, oh, I've heard these jokes before. He's ripping off Jay Leno, and then Bobby Heenan would be, this stuff is hilarious.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Heenan,
where does he come up with this stuff?
the heel commentator.
Oh.
Maybe people don't give enough credit for Bischoff being a heel as good as he was.
Yeah.
Even in WCW, he was a great heel.
Well, once again, they always say Mr. McMahon was, this amazing character. What about Eric Bischoff?
Yeah, and
Eric
think
Bischoff
they
was
kinda,
an amazing heel character too.
Yeah, and they kind of did it around the same time,
Yeah.
And where they were both running the company, and then you kind of, or people found out they were running the company.
Yeah.
They were like these on-air commentators. It was kind of weird how they paralleled like that. They were on air. People didn't really know they were actually running the company. And in WCW, Ted Turner owned it, but Bischoff ran it at the time. When he took over. So it was kind of interesting. They kind of both came out as heels at the same time. And they did really good at it.
Yeah. So I'll do that, and then I will say one more of my first, and we'll jump into yours, Mr. McMeier. My first live show was in Fargo, North Dakota. I went with my cousin and his sister, and we road tripped for a couple hours. We went to the Fargo show, and my uncle who took me told me, he's like, I heard the main event's going to be Goldberg versus the Giant, and I was losing my mind because I was like, oh my God, and then you watch in WCW and you see what
Thunder, right?
It was Thunder, and it was like, it's going to be Bret Hart is going to be in the main event or something
Bret
like that.
Hart
and
Lex
then,
Luger, I think it was.
Yeah,
I was actually at that one.
Nice. But then you're freaking out. You're like, well, how come they're not talking about this Goldberg Giant match? And you didn't realize that how a house show works is that you have that pay-per-view match, and you do it a bunch of times.
If I remember right, it was a dark match.
It was a dark match,
which means they had it on the air, but once the camera goes off, that's the dark match that happens after after they go off the air. Then you see it. I think he came out and he did his whatever
he jackhammered him.
Jackhammered him.
That was and everybody lost their mind.
Yeah, they flipped their shit over that. Yeah.
Yep. So that was my first show.
How about
I remember
falling out with it? Did you ever get out of wrestling for a period of time? Or?
I did. I will say right after I graduated from high school, kind of senior year, kind of that. And it was never...
What year was that?
2004.
Okay. So not much was really happening.
I was big into... And my favorite
WCW was gone by then.
Right. WCW was gone. And that killed a lot of my love for it.
Yeah.
It was because WCW was my company. And I did watch Raw for a little bit. But once again, I kind of fell out of it. What really kept me in for those couple of years was Rob Van Dam. I was a big RVD. RVD is my favorite wrestler. I'll put that out there. Sting is number 2. I absolutely loved him. He was my first great super wrestler, big guy, whatever it is.
Yep.
But yeah, RVD was definitely number 2 for me. And yeah, I don't remember being like, oh, this is crap, I'm sick of this. But I just kind of, got other interests and kind of moved on. And then I kind of came back into it around WrestleMania 22. I remember I ordered WrestleMania 22 for one reason or another. And I think probably because of Rob Van Dam, and then I really got back into it again. So okay. I've been back ever since 22.
Cool. What's your favorite promotion? Currently, I guess.
Currently?
Yeah. WWE, TNA, I guess it's, Lucha.
The term favorites.
What can you watch without cringing the most?
Oh boy.
Tough one, huh?
Tough
Shouldn't be
one.
that tough. I mean,
Shouldn't be. I hesitate to say this, but I gotta say Lucha.
yeah.
Only because I feel they're doing so much right.
Yeah. Yep.
But at the same time, it's kind of, they don't produce a weekly show.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do all this other stuff that they don't stretch themselves thin like the other companies
It's
do.
hard to watch it, for your average fan,
Yep,
I think
because
it's
they're
on
only an
El Rey.
hour. What's that?
It's only on El Rey as
Yeah,
far
it's
as
only on
free
El Rey.
TV,
Yep. So
that makes it kind of.
yeah, I don't know if they're my favorite, but I'd say at this point they're the best.
Yeah. They're
So
the least
I'm-
cringeworthy
As much of an answer as that
promotion
is.
right now. Yeah.
Like I wouldn't consider any of them my favorite. Old school WCW was my favorite, but that's,
oh yeah. Me
but
too.
that's gone.
Absolutely.
So well, how about you? I've been talking for like 20 minutes. Mr. McMeier, when did you first feel the stank of Hulkamania?
Oh man. I actually don't even have like my first memory because I honestly watched it. I've watched it since I was a kid. I don't even have that first.
That's much alcohol, ladies.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's my memory of wrestling was like I was a big WWF at the time, WWE fan.
Yeah.
I didn't miss anything they had, I casually watched WCW like in the early 90s, it was on
Okay.
like TBS. I didn't really watch it that often, I caught it on like Saturdays. They had like the Saturday night thing. I was a big Hulkamaniac, I still am to
I
this.
remember quite a few Saturday night main events.
Yeah, and I'm a big Hulkamaniac. I still am, and that's kind of how I started out, just a huge wrestling fan. And then I'd have to say when the first time I kind of like stopped watching it was, oddly enough, is when Hogan like left in like '93. They like put Yokozuna over.
Yeah.
And that just drove me nuts, and like Hogan left, and I remember being in this like bookstore, and I saw a magazine with like Hulkamania's dead, and had a like picture of Yokozuna like flexing on it. And I was like, F you. I was like, damn it, and like I didn't watch it honestly.
Well, geez, I
till-
just found your new Christmas present. Hulkamania is dead.
It's funny how I love Yokozuna now, but at the time I don't know. And it was kind of, 93 was kind of at the point too where nothing was really going on with the product too.
It was
Hogan
pretty
was
stale.
gone. I really had no interest watching it. I really stopped watching it completely until Hogan came back in like 94.
Yeah.
The parade thing, the ticket tape parade thing, and that honestly hooked me back in.
Pastamania, baby.
Yeah, Pastamania. Yeah, and I've been watching that. I'm a huge WCW guy. I thought a lot of the stuff they had was pretty awesome. NWO, everything, cruiserweight division. Even they had some women's wrestling too. Since we were talking about divas,
Yeah.
they had some decent women's wrestling
They did.
too.
They
And
actually did. Yeah.
Nitro Girls, there was something.
Oh.
There was something for everybody on that
the
program.
Nitro Girls, they did it for me.
They did it.
At
Yeah.
13 years old.
Yep. Yeah. And I've never really. I don't know if I've ever really stopped watching it other than like that 93, 94 period. I kind of stopped watching TNA for a while when Jarrett quit.
Yeah.
And like I was a big Jarrett fan. I was a big TNA at the time fan. I thought the X Division. I kind of stopped watching it up until recently with the GFW stuff. He kind of hooked me back in with that.
Yep.
I've been watching WWE. I've watched almost everything I can get my hands on at some point or another. I always have. I've watched Japan wrestling, Lucha wrestling. I used to watch Lucha when it came on like Univision, like Saturday mornings when it was all in Spanish,
Was it AAA?
Yeah, I think it was AAA.
Nice.
It was like a 2-hour program, all in Spanish. I had no clue what they were saying, but
See.
I watched it, and the best stuff out there probably I'd have to say is Lucha, New Japan Pro Wrestling. WWE sucks as far as a program. They have some good stuff. They have some good talent.
They got, and that's
Out of all these promotions, even TNA, I'd have to say they're the weakest link at WWE. Their product is not very good.
Yeah.
It's the reason why their ratings are so low, honestly.
yeah.
you know, and yeah, I'm a Lucha. Yeah, Ring of Honor too is another good pure wrestling show. So yeah, that's kind of me. You know, I've watched it since I could remember. Just about anything I could get my hands on. I remember still watching, like getting VCR tapes, reading magazines to get my news before internet. You know, I got all the magazines and all that. So I'm kind of old school. You know,
I remember that's the first time I saw Rob Van Dam was PWI.
Oh yeah,
it was a cover issue for him and Sabu. Yeah, and it said, "Can the world's most dysfunctional tag team coexist?" or something like that. And
which was entertaining, those two.
Yeah, I just remember seeing him and thinking he was so cool, and I didn't know why, couldn't explain it.
Was that the first time you actually saw Rob Van Dam and like checked him out after that, or
I checked him out after I saw him in the magazine?
Interesting,
cool. Because really, I mean, you couldn't get ECW. Once again, like I was 13, 14, 15 at the time.
I remember my friend had like DirecTV, and he had the channel that it was on. It was like on some Rainbow network or something. It was like once in a while I'd catch it on that, but most of the stuff was like magazines. I'd catch all the ECW stuff, you know. Yeah, I kind of miss that stuff, you know, how you'd read the stuff in magazines, you know. They'd have like the rankings, stuff like that, the news, you know. It was probably like a week or two old, but it was... the only way you could get that stuff. So
yeah.
So yeah.
Then
fan for life, basically.
Yeah. So, Mr. McMeier, who's your favorite wrestler?
Well,
even though I've already
I think
spilled the beans.
Yeah, I think you know this. Probably of all time, I'd have to say Hulk Hogan. Other than that, because. You know, that's probably everybody, not yours, but I mean, that's probably, I'm a big Arn Anderson fan, oddly enough. I don't think Arn Anderson, I don't think that guy gives enough credit. I think watching his matches were just flawless. Some of the stuff he did in the ring, you know, he was the enforcer. Scott Hall is another one. Probably not the best human being in the world, but as a talent.
Yeah.
Another guy that probably didn't, you know, get enough credit, but yeah, I could go probably on and on and on about favorite wrestlers, but them, you know, those three are probably my favorite, you know.
Okay, and let's wrap it up with this. Your favorite segment or storyline or both? If you want both, go ahead and take it.
Yeah, my favorite storyline of all time was probably NWO.
Yeah.
You know, it was probably Hogan coming in as the heel and then having, you know, that bash at the beach thing. To me, that kind of changed everything. That changed wrestling.
Yep.
So without a doubt, probably everything with NWO, you know, up until when it, you know, started getting kind of ridiculous. But yeah, the whole NWO run in WCW is probably my favorite stuff ever. So yeah.
I'm gonna cheat. I got 3.
Nice.
2 segments, because they're kind of related, and then one storyline, which in hindsight isn't very good. But anyway, so I'll just tell you here. My 2 favorite moments from my wrestling youth are Chris Jericho moments. Number 1, the infamous. Where he goes out there and he has 1,004 moves.
1,001 holds, or 1,004, because he had to have more than Malenko.
Yep.
Yeah.
He knew 4 more holds.
Armbar! Didn't he say armbar like twice?
He said armbar like 5 times.
Yeah.
It was like every other one was
Wasn't
armbar.
it like the Mexican toe hold something was? He just totally made it up. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I thought that was absolutely genius.
Yeah.
My other favorite Chris Jericho moment was when he was parodying Goldberg's entrance. So he had his security guard Rufus with him.
Right.
The fat guy with only half a shirt and missing teeth.
Rufus.
And, which I don't know if you ever watched, but like Jericho, when he'd walk down with Rufus, like a fan would touch him.
Yeah.
And then he'd get Rufus, they'd see Rufus on the fan.
Rufus wouldn't really do much.
He'd wave his finger back and forth. I'm like, no, don't.
I don't know if Rufus knew what he was doing there. You know, I think he had a general idea of what he was doing, but other than that,
Rufus was there to take spears from Goldberg.
Yeah,
that's about all that Rufus was there for. But anyway, so Jericho's making his way, and and I think they were in Cleveland, and he's going, "Hello, Cleveland,
Yeah.
here we go." Which at the time I had no idea was a total Spinal Tap ripoff.
Yeah, they keep getting lost backstage,
he
right?
keeps getting
Yeah.
lost backstage. And the best part about that whole thing is so that was funny in of itself. But then Bobby the Brain Heenan once again comes through and says, "Hurry up, Jericho! We've only got the building till midnight."
Oh, of course.
And I just lost it. I just thought that was absolutely hilarious. My favorite storyline, and I'll kind of put this in perspective. Once again, remember, this is a 14, 15-year-old Kyle watching wrestling who started out with Sting and Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
So in my world, I knew nothing but the NWO.
Mm-hmm.
So the Wolfpack storyline
Yeah.
was absolutely the coolest. You couldn't convince me that there's a cooler.
Another thing they don't really give the Wolfpack enough
Yep.
credit for, because at the time they were super over. They were like DX status at the time.
Yep.
The red and black, you know.
Yep, the red and black.
Yeah.
You couldn't convince me there was a cooler human being on the planet than Kevin Nash.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Or the Wolfpack in general.
Right.
They were just the shit at the time, yeah.
you know, and that was the big thing too, was Nash was so quick on his feet, like in promos and stuff like that. There's actually a couple ones you should check out online. There's Nash versus Hogan, and basically Hogan says, "Hey Nash, I saw in the shower you got chicken legs."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Why are you looking at me in the shower, big guy?" And then he just kind of freezes, and he's like, "Well, I just need to see what you were packing,
Yeah.
Holmes." And there's like, he just got him so good, and there's nothing Hogan could do about it.
Yeah.
So that was absolutely fantastic. And then, like, when Sting joined the Wolfpack, I lost it.
Oh, yeah.
Because, once again, I was such a big Sting fan. And then I was like, he's got to join the NWO.
You know, if anybody wants to know
He's
what
got
a pop is, when the crowd pops,
Yep.
I would say over Austin or anything, I would say watch that moment where he actually
Yep.
joins Wolfpack.
Yep.
You know, he comes in with the black
With the
and white.
Black and white, yep. And
Yep.
then he gives.
And then everybody's
the
like,
giant.
"Oh, they're all disappointed," you know. And then
Yeah.
he like body slams the giant. He rips the shirt off, and it's
And it
red
says
and black.
NWO, yeah.
And then they start playing the Wolfpack. You know, it's like, yeah, it was.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was.
His Wolfpack. Because that was, once again, that was the big thing, was Sting had no alliance. He was always WCW, but WCW turned his back on
Right.
him. He would never do anything besides that, and then bam,
Yeah, if you're new to wrestling, I would say go back and watch
Yeah.
that moment if you want to see how over WCW was at the time and how over like Red and Black was, you know.
Yep.
So can I add to mine, since you totally, I do NWO, but
Shut your mouth.
yeah, McMahon versus Austin too was.
Okay,
I'm a huge Stone Cold fan.
Yep.
You know, you can't dismiss that. That was some good stuff. Honestly,
It was. What is Stone Cold going to do this week to mess with McMahon?
Yep, it was NWO, McMahon versus Austin, and probably the old ECW stuff too.
Yeah.
Anytime I could actually see it or get my hands on like some of the pay-per-views they did on like DVD, kind of blew my mind. You know, it was the wrestling they did and stuff was pretty awesome. So probably those three things: NWO, Austin McMahon, and ECW. You know, yeah.
To this day, I still remember Austin backing up that concrete truck.
Yeah.
Watching that live, and then just the.
Yeah, and you just imagine doing that to your boss. It's like, wow. Yeah.
So, alrighty, with that's the end of our trip down wrestling memory lane. We'll be back at you guys next week with another episode of the Last Territory Wrestling Podcast.
It was the first. It
This
won't
was
be
the
the
first.
last.
Hopefully,
We are the last territory.
we are the last territory, but hopefully not our last podcast.
No, we'll be back.
This is the Sane Luchador, DA White Thunder, and
Mr. McMeier.
signing off. See you guys later.
Later.